What is up, everyone? Today is going to be the second character guide, and this is going to be the beginner Steve guide. So Steve, a very complex character. He has a ton of things about him. People often say that he is in creative mode with how he can play, but that doesn't mean that you can't play him simply. So I will be going over the Steve basics, and like I kind of mentioned with Pyramithra, it's going to be a little bit different than it would a more standard character. So let's get into the first topic, which is going to be block. So Steve's neutral B block is obviously the thing that sets him apart from every other character. The first thing you should do is just look for the grid on the stage. It is 6 to 8 blocks up from the ledge. I think 5 blocks down, 4 blocks off stage, something like that, pretty universal. I would make sure you are comfortable knowing where the blocks are because they are very, very useful. And the first use is going to be for disadvantage. It is really, really good when you are getting hit and you are landing if the opponent is on stage. You can just have a block and then get your jump back, reposition yourself, and then continue to play. It doesn't have to be just the normal, you have double jump, you have air dodge. In Steve's case, of course, he also has minecart, but you also have block, making his disadvantage one of the most ambiguous in the entire game. He basically is a multi-jump character, except he can shield in the air for a little bit, which is crazy. Block, of course, can also be used in neutral as you just kind of create walls that it is difficult for your opponent to get around. Of course, they would have to smack blocks. They can't just get around it. They can't just run into it. So it makes it a little bit annoying to deal with because characters have to take time in order to break the blocks in order to get to Steve. And Steve, of course, can react with things that they are doing, whatever moves they are doing to kill the blocks, with just hitting them forward with a dash attack or a dash grab, just a normal with punishing type of thing. Of course, if your opponent doesn't try to break the blocks and just kind of chills on the other side, you are Steve and you are going to be mining for materials because Steve, of course, wants gold, wants diamond, wants all the materials so that he can build more, he can use TNT, and of course so he can get his better weapons, which I'll also get into in a little bit, don't worry. And of course, block can be used in advantage. You get a hit and suddenly you can create platforms under you to do ground moves and get your jumps back to prolong your combos. A very, very simple one would just be like up tilt into jump, up air, double jump, up air, block, up tilt, up air. Like that's a pretty standard like day one combo. It's really, really good. Of course, there are a ton of advanced Steve combos, which I'm going to be doing a separate video for like Steve Tech and Steve Advanced combos because they're probably some of the most fun combos in the entire game for me. So I love, love, love doing them. So I'll be doing more, but I'm not going to be covering things like no impact lands here because this is a beginner guide and that's a bit more advanced. And outside of combos, you can of course have Steve create blocks in advantage just to have a floor to use ground moves like up smash and down smash and forward smash and down tilt and just things to create more ambiguous situations for your opponent. It's because they're gonna have to like deal with a down smash off stage, like a bit off stage and above the stage just because Steve can create a block, which is very abnormal for most characters, so you can definitely sneak in advantages there. And I would say the last use for block is for blocking people's recoveries. Really good against teleport recoveries because you can just kind of create a wall next to the ledge and people can't teleport there. You can also make them bonk their heads. Of course, there's setups where you can just kind of make people get stage spiked, which is, it's absolutely ridiculous. Block is so good for edge guarding and it literally invalidates some characters' recoveries, like Palatinas and Chroms are probably two of the more specific ones that I know it just absolutely bodies. Doing this one's a little more awkward because blocks off stage are generally harder to do than blocks on stage or above the stage just because of like mechanics in the game. So be careful doing them. I honestly personally do not do them when I play Steve just because it's really awkward and it's not something that I'm used to. I will just go for a downer edge guard, but it's really, really good and one of the things that I feel like, again, just kind of makes Steve's matchups a little bit easier. And I know that was a very simplified way to do it, but that's about it to cover block, so let's get into his tools. Of course, one of the reasons that block is a good option and, you know, approaching Steve in general is what opponents want to do is because he can mine for materials, whether it's mining more dirt or wood to make blocks, whether it's iron for minecart, down throw, and down air, or whether it's gold for powered up minecarts or just gold tools, or diamond for diamond tools, which last super, super long. So of course, the longer you don't attack Steve, the closer he gets to getting diamond. Of course, you can get multiple diamond and multiple gold in a stock, so even if they get one, you still have to approach them because the more material Steve has, the better of a time he's going to have, and the more difficult it will be for you to get in or do basically anything. As a really quick side note, it does take 4 iron to make iron tools, so make sure that if you want to make iron tools, you have the the 4 iron, which is 1 more than you start a stock with, so you do have to mine a little bit to get iron tools. Personally, the main tools that I focus on are wood, iron, and diamond at first. I basically only use gold tools if I feel like I'm not gonna get enough time to make blocks and run away from my opponent and I really want diamond, so I will just get gold because it mines faster. It does everything faster, of course. So that's basically the main reason I would use gold tools. But in terms of offense or just general play, I would recommend starting with wood and iron and diamond. Those are going to be your 3 main ones. Combos can be pretty similar between them. Of course, wood being weaker, you're actually going to be able to get longer combos, but diamond and iron, of course, are stronger. So you're going to be able to get combo finishers a bit earlier, like forward smash and back air, and they're going to kill very, very early. But what do you do with the tools? You play neutral. For neutral, again, I already mentioned that people are generally going to be aggressive when they play against Steve because he has the ability to make blocks and mine for tools. So that's going to basically be your default as people are approaching you. And Steve has really good with punishing. Of course, he's a slow character, so if he really needs to approach, it isn't that easy. But he has forward air and back air, jab, forward tilt, those are the same thing. And of course, his pivot grab or dash grab in order to punish people for either approaching or using block. Of course, he has an amazing up tilt, so if people are jumping above the blocks instead of trying to break them, you can just up tilt anti-air them and get big combos. Of course, speed would generally help a whiff punishing type style, but again, Steve has the tools to not need speed because he has block and mining, so he's basically forcing the approach, and so of course he can still get dash attacks and dash grabs, of course leading to big combos. You have getting a forward air or a back air, which is just going to be damage, it's going to frustrate people. The more times you hit your opponent when they try to get in, of course they're going to get frustrated, which is just an innate advantage that Steve has for being a slower, more passive character. Steve does have a plethora of combos, simple ones and complex ones, so again, just learn your combo routes a little bit with up tilt and back air. Of course, you have pickaxe or forward air being a spike, so you always have the ability to do the pickaxe loops, which is like forward air into spike, and then you land, do a jab or two depending on the fall speed of the character, and then another forward air, and so you can loop those for a lot of percent even if you're not doing them perfectly. Of course, on fast fallers, you just get to jab them across the stage. You get a single parry, which is going to be big damage. You can end it with a down smash, and you can get an edge guarding position, which again is so strong for Steve. And of course, if you get scared because people are approaching you really well, you have Minecart, which is a great burst option. It is super strong. It is a move that is also command grab and also projectile, one of the best moves in the entire game. So I would definitely recommend making sure you are comfortable using it. Of course, you do need iron, and so if you don't have iron, you're not going to have that option, which is a big deal. But it's definitely super useful, especially for beginners, like because they're not going to be ready for the minecart. It is pretty difficult to react to if you're not super looking out for it. So it can breed you a lot of hits, a lot of success, and if you have gold, it's going to super kill and do a ton of damage. One thing that I feel like it is important to bring up is the fact that sometimes as Steve, you get caught up in the momentum of trying to be aggressive or using too many buttons, or even using buttons in a disadvantaged position. But remember that you can always calm down in most matchups. You can just calm down and recenter yourself and just make more blocks and mine to reset the position and kind of make people approach and just have people remember, hey, I'm annoying. It is annoying to fight against me. So you can do that basically at any time as long as you have just a little bit of space. Also, if the opponent doesn't have really good shield options, their shield pressure is actually pretty good. Back air is very safe. Of course, you have jab and up tilt that you can just kind of spam on people's shields and kind of walk around to make it ambiguous what side you're going to be on. It's pretty annoying to deal with. And on the ground, you have jab and up tilt, which are kind of annoying to punish if you're not super experienced against Steve. So you can always kind of check your opponent and up tilt in their face because it's generally safe. But if they don't know how to punish it, then you're going to get a lot of free pressure, which is going to just be good knowledge when you're playing against someone in a longer set. So with neutral out of the way, let's talk about disadvantage. As I kind of mentioned with block, Steve has a very versatile disadvantage, not just because of block, but of course he has minecart and down air. And even though you think that down air is super predictable, if Meister can hit down airs with people with Game & Watch when they know he's gonna do it, and all the Steve players can also get down airs, it's a good move. It is something you really have to respect, assuming the opponent doesn't have like a reflector and can just kill you super early. It is a really strong move that of course takes up an iron, but it can spell trouble if anyone gets hit. I've died to that move at like 45 because it cost me up and I got bad DI. So it is something that is very scary, and a lot of people are going to respect the space below you because of that, even if you don't use it, which allows you to land safer, start using blocks and stuff like that, which is really, really good. Of course, you also have minecart, which is great. Minecart sends you super far, you can jump out of it, you can act basically out of it immediately, which is very, very good for Steve because if you're off stage, you can minecart just to make it back on stage. If you are on stage in a weird position and you want to go off stage, you can just minecart off stage. It's really, really versatile and quite good. Not only that, but Steve has the best ledge stalling in the game. There is a protection when you're off stage that you can't just drop off and do a block immediately, you have to wait a while. I'm doing a timing right here on stage, or on screen rather, which is just like 2 up airs, double jump up air, and then you can make a block. You get your jump back, you get your invincibility back because you landed. So if you have the material and you want to just kind of stall someone, you have the ability to very, very easily. If people swing at you, they're going to get hit by up tilts and up smashes and be in a very awkward situation. So most people are just going to wait and not mess with it, and if you need to kind of regain your composure and breathe a little bit, that is a perfect time to do so, and you can do it several times. For more standard ledge pressure, if you don't want to stall, you still have great tools because, again, you have the ability to block at any point, which can be very annoying. Of course, you just have ledge hop nair, which is super fast and really difficult to deal with. You have ledge hop minecart, you have jump back off of ledge minecart, which are going to be different for timings, and it is very, very difficult to deal with. Of course, then you still have roll and neutral get up and just general ledge jump, which can be annoying to deal with all of those, especially with the threat of dropping down and minecarting. People really want to make this ledge trapping count, and Steve can oftentimes just nullify that pressure. And now let's talk advantage. Of course, Steve's combo game is one of the best things about him at top level, but again, as I mentioned with block, even at high level, it is really good. You can get very long combos with up tilt and up air, fair chains, and general edge guarding can be really good. Speaking of edge guarding, down tilt is incredible. It is a super lingering move that sends out, and a lot of characters literally cannot deal with that. If they don't have a double jump and you just down tilt their 2-frame or their recovery at the ledge, you can do that and mine, and do that and mine until they basically SD or it kills, in which case you probably have a diamond and a half and you are absolutely chilling for the next stop. If you do hit your opponent and you're not comboing them because it's kind of an awkward percent, you have great advantage above you. Up air is so fast, and it's one of the best tools for just hitting people that are above you. It kind of makes up for the fact that he's slow, because if he can position himself correctly horizontally, he can really spam up air and just be absolutely obnoxious to fall on. If you notice you can't get under your opponent, of course you can always just build block and then start mining again, and people are going to be like, oh right, I have to go in, which is kind of annoying. But other than that, you can minecart to catch people's landings, which is going to be really strong, again, especially if there's gold on deck. Down smash 2 frames, which is ridiculous, and also it's just really good for tech chasing if you get like a forward air that doesn't spike and they kind of get sent to the low angle because it can cover in front of you and then behind you for like the tech read in. It's really, really strong. If people are trying to land on top of you aggressively, after you hit them, again, you can just pivot grab and throw them off stage, which again gives you time to mine and puts them in a really bad position because no one wants to be off stage against Steve. And of course you have the ever-present threat when people are landing on you of up smash, because up smash is huge and lingering and kills omega early, and the only way to really get around it if you don't have a jump is to air dodge through it or like air dodge away, and Steve has great punishes for that, especially if you have better tools, because it can lead to diamond forward smash, a grab for combos if they're still at low percents, or just like a minecart if they air dodge away, or a dash attack if they air dodge away, which can just lead to more situations of feeling very frustrated. Of course, if you are more advanced Steve, you can get really long combos just from like a lot of different hits, but again, I will be going over that in the next video, but I just want to show some on screen so you can see how ridiculous this character can be when you really understand it. And I know I mentioned Dare in terms of advantage, but you can also use it to edgeguard if people want to recover low, because it is so strong, and if they DI out, they're going to explode, and if they DI in, it might put them in a tech situation or untechable them really early, so it's really scary to deal with, again, if the Steve has the iron, which is one of the reasons why mining, again, is so important, because if you have the tools, and if you have what Steve calls the mats, that's just when you're going to be able to thrive. And yeah, that's going to be about it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. Summit just happened, so I will be uploading a lot of Summit analysis and also an anti-Pyramithra guide, because that is apparently very, very needed for a lot of people. But let me know what other videos you want down below. Of course, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I will be doing a Steve like tech guide and combo guide, because I don't feel like anyone has really made those except for like very specific things. So that'll be up soon, and yeah, I hope to see you all next time.
Pikachu, busted.